So, good evening, everyone. We are Group 4, and we will be presenting our game theory, which is signaling and screening. So, what is signaling and screening? So, just a bit of history background. Signaling and screening is actually involved in not only game theory, but even economics. And it was developed back in 1970s to solve problems, usually dealing with hidden information. So, signaling and screening are, as you can see, two types of games with an inversely related concept. So, generally, it deals with revealing and uncovering various information. So, just a short summary here. Signaling is when an informed player makes the first action that reveals information about themselves to the uninformed party, while screening moves oppositely. The uninformed player makes the first action that is meant to uncover information from the informed player. So for example, for signaling, let's use the example of the student and the employer. So the student, which is the informed player, makes the action of getting a degree from a very difficult course. So in their perspective, they may be thinking, I want to get this degree from this specific course, from this difficult course, in order to show my future employers my skill level or my ability and how well I can work. And yeah, while the employer is receives that information and makes the decision of whether to hire them or pass on to the next candidate. Next is screening. So screening, using the same example, the employer offers two choices. This is one method of uncovering information. So they offer, let's say, two contract choices to the informed player or the recently graduated student, having option A, um, having harder work or harder tasks but higher pay, or option B, easier tasks but lower pay. So the choice that the informed player makes will give the uninformed player or the employer their capability or their skill level. So going more into depth, signaling has two types of players, a high ability player and a low ability player. So going back to the example, we have a student that has a degree from a difficult course. So that can be considered the high ability player. While another student or applicant that may have dropped out or finished a degree from an easier course can be considered the low ability player. So that's what we call the separating equilibrium. So these two reveals different information just based from what degree they have finished. Now, in signaling and screening, we have a term called cost. So it is a term used to describe how much effort a player needs to exert in order to acquire that certain skill for in which the example is the degree. So let's say the high ability player is able to manage the difficult course, while the low ability player is unable to pass through the course at all. So high ability equals high cost, while low ability equals low cost. Moving on to screening, screening presents different options to the informed player. So again, using the same example, choosing option A, which gives harder tasks for higher pay, means that the informed player is skilled enough to manage the given objectives or work, while the opposite goes for choosing option B, which gives easier tasks for lower pay, meaning that if they choose this, they find option A too stressful or unmanageable. So from the examples, we see that signaling and screening often happen at the same time, and how they work together is very detrimental. So the informed player or the graduated student gives or signals the employer or the uninformed player their skill level using the degree or showing their degree. while the uninformed player or the employer screens the informed players through contract choices, interviews, tests, and etc.
So, for our scenarios, a real-world example of signaling and screening can be seen in an airplane safety and airline operation, especially in how airlines, pilots, and passengers make decisions. So, in aviation, passengers can't really directly see how safe an airplane is or how skilled the pilots and maintenance crew are. This creates a gap in information. Uh, Airline knows that their own safety standards, but passengers don't. So to solve this, airlines use signals. This includes certification, your aircraft, a strong safety record, terrain, and uniform use. So uh, these signals show passengers that the airline is reliable and safe. And at the same time, screening is done by aviation authorities. So pilots must have passed license exams and simulator tests, and the aircrafts undergo regular inspections and maintenance before they are allowed to fly. So airports and regulators use these rules to filter out unsafe airlines. These situations fit signaling and screening because safety information is uneven, and both signals and screening help reduce risk. As a result, passengers can make their choices or make better choices, and only qualified airlines are allowed to operate. And that's it.
In this game, there are two players, applicants and employers. Applicants are informed players because they know their true ability, while employers are uninformed and must rely on signals. Applicants choose what signals to send, such as degrees, certifications, or resume quality. Employers choose how to screen applicants through interviews, exams, or minimum requirements. When strong and credible signals are matched with effective screening, it results in good hires and higher productivity. Weak or fake signals often lead to rejection, especially when employers screen carefully. Positive signals help prevent low-quality applicants from imitating high-quality ones. Overall, the best outcomes happen when strong signals meet proper screening, benefiting both applicants and employers.
This activity is a job hiring role play that illustrates signaling and screening in the labor market. Students act as applicants and employers. Applicants know their own quality while employers do not and must rely on observable signals. Applicants choose to send either a strong signal, such as a degree or well-prepared resume, which requires effort, or a weak signal, which is easy to obtain. Employers then decide whether to screen applicants through interviews or tests or to skip screening. The outcomes depend on these choices. Strong signals combined with screening usually lead to good hiring decisions, while weak signals without screening increase the risk of hiring low quality workers. Screening improves everyone's accuracy but increases the cost. Overall, the activity shows how signaling and screening reduce information asymmetry in hiring.
So for the simulation, here we have a good applicant showing a strong signal. The employer screens and the quality, which results in a good hire. Then for the second scenario, an employer skips screening and relies only on the signal. This results in higher risk of hiring adversity. Then for the third scenario, a weak applicant tries to look for, and the result of that is constantly exposure. And lastly, for the fourth scenario, the employer checks all applicants. The result is hiring interest, but higher than the for the third scenario. It's not just a signal. where high-quality applicants are willing to send strong signals because it's cheaper for them. Employers view and it's for them, which leads to accurate hiring decisions. The participants behave like this because they recognize that strong signals combined with verified urgency, uncertainty, as employers prefer certain. So the applicants that know they're qualified invest in their signal. For the second scenario, the outcome for this is inefficient because without screening or strong signals, employers can distinguish between high and low quality applicants, which leads to adverse selection, where one side knows more information than the other. This results in the decision favoring the more knowledgeable side. The employers acted like this because they may be reluctant to spend too much for their time consuming. They may also be they may also underestimate the risk of a bad hire. For the third scenario, low quality applicants attempt to look like they have strong signals. But if their signal is costly, they can't sustain it, which leads to a separating equilibrium, where a low quality applicant chooses not to invest in a strong signal, leading to the employer seeing this. And they act like this because it's a chance to improve outcomes, the possibility of which getting lucky motivates low quality applicants to try despite the risk. And for scenario four, based on the theory, it's suboptimal because training everyone is costly. Efficient markets rely on signals to reduce the need for universal screening. Employers act like this because they may be reluctant and they prioritize avoiding bad hires over minimizing costs. Lack of trust in signals may also be a reason that encourages everyone to be screened. Here's the references, here's the contributions. Thank you for listening.